A while back, I've been wanting to do an anime Blu-ray video for quite some time, and I hadn't really had that much of the time because I am pretty busy with a lot of film production, and I am pretty busy with classes, and I've recently started getting a new job. But anyways, anime Blu-ray collecting. I've been wanting to show you guys my anime physical media collection ever since I saw Chris Stuckmann's video on his anime collection, Cutie and Cosplay's video, and so many other YouTubers' videos on their anime physical media collection. And if you haven't seen those videos, I'll make sure to leave those links in the description down below. But anyways, yeah, it took me a while for me to collect all these anime Blu-rays, and I've been wanting to try to do an anime Blu-ray video for quite some time, an anime physical media video for quite some time, but because of my busy schedule and because of some other things, and because I feel like that I haven't been finished with my anime Blu-ray collection video yet, there has been some further delays for that. But now, here we are for my anime Blu-ray collection. And anyways, yeah, this is not all the anime Blu-rays I've collected on this shelf. There are some other anime physical media stuff that I have. But anyways, without further ado, let's get to the video. I'm going to be starting everything what I can find on this shelf. And to start off, for my anime Blu-ray collection, I have Cowboy Bebop. One, if not my favorite animes of all time, one of my favorite animes of all time, and one of my favorite TV shows in general. I absolutely really love this show. I remember seeing it as a kid when it first aired on Adult Swim, and then I remember watching this show again when it was airing on Tunami Adult Swim when the Tunami block was being revived. And I remember I had a fun time watching it. And revisiting the series years later as an adult, it still manages to hold up well to this day, and it's absolutely wonderful. It is incredible. The story, the writing, and its characters is pretty amazing. And it has some of the most funnest episodes out there. And if you haven't seen this show, I do recommend that you give this show a watch. Go see it. It is amazing. It is absolutely wonderful. And then for what I have for some other Blu-rays, I also have the movie, Cowboy Bebop the movie, by far if not one of my favorite anime films of all time, and one of my favorite action films in general, and just my favorite movie in general. It's pretty awesome. It is well done, well animated, and well directed by Shinichiro Watanabe. I have two versions of the movie here. I have the official release, and I have this I bought from Amazon. Yep. Here it is. Anyways, the movie is absolutely wonderful. By far, if not one of my favorite films. I will talk about that in a future video. Well, in a future video for my favorite movies of all time video, which I will be planning to do in a future video. And I will talk about this more later at the end of the video. But anyways, this movie is absolutely wonderful. A childhood classic anime film. I remember rewatching this as a kid over and over again when my parents rented this movie from Blockbuster. And I just remembered that I had a fun time watching this on DVD. And then I got the movie on Blu-ray, and it's absolutely wonderful. Still is wonderful to this day. And if you haven't seen the movie, I do recommend you give it a watch, though. The Blu-ray might be out of print, but yeah. And of course, how can I not forget about the 25th anniversary of the Cowboy Bebop 25th anniversary box set. Absolutely wonderful. I haven't opened this, but it is absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at this. Look at this, and just look at the things that they got here. Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely amazing. It's a fun thing that I got for my birthday, and I remember that I wanted to get this for my birthday at some point, and I got it for a decent price. I think for about $63, but hey, it was awesome though. But yeah. And then we got one, if not my favorite animes of all time, and one of my favorite works from Shinichiro Watanabe alongside with Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo. Absolutely wonderful. I remember seeing this show as a bit when it came on Adult Swim. I remember I had a fun time watching this on Adult Swim. And then I revisited the show years later now as an adult, and it still manages to hold up well to this day. And everything about the show is absolutely wonderful. One of Shinichiro Watanabe's best works in the samurai genre, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It has a mix between hip-hop and anime. Absolutely wonderful. If you love Cowboy Bebop, you'll love Samurai Champloo. It has some really awesome things like being set in the Edo period of Japan and having some awesome badass samurai and some awesome hip-hop music and some obvious nod references to American culture, just like Cowboy Bebop. just absolutely wonderful. You haven't seen the show, go watch it. It is amazing. Then of course I got Space Dandy, another one of Shinichiro Watanabe's works. Absolutely wonderful. It basically is a mix between like 1950 something space and some disco music, which this is absolutely wonderful, absolutely amazing. Ian Sinclair did the voice of Dandy, and I think that Ian Sinclair did a really amazing job. The voice acting, especially for the English dub, is very good, just like with Shinichiro Watanabe's other anime, just like how, again, he did prefer the English dub for Cowboy Bebop over the original English sub, and yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful. Some great voice acting from Ian Sinclair, Colin Clinkenbeard, and so many others. And basically, yeah, it's a fun show to really watch. If you're into sci-fi and if you're into one of Shinichiro Watanabe's works, you'll love Space Dandy. Absolutely wonderful. Then, of course, I have the One Punch Man series on Blu-ray, Season 1 and Season 2. Season 2 hasn't been unwrapped yet, but Season 1 has. It's an absolutely wonderful series. I remember seeing this show back in high school, and I remember I had a fun time watching it. It was absolutely wonderful. Just amazing. Even though the second season has a bit of a downfall. But yeah, I cannot wait to watch One Punch Man Season 3. I will talk about that in a future video. Death Note, one of my all-time favorite animes out there. It's just absolutely wonderful, and it's just absolutely amazing. I remember seeing this as a kid. I remember thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? What the hell is this? But I remember I had a fun time watching it as a kid, and revisiting the series years later, now as an adult, it still manages to hold up well to this day. Even though the second half, yes, it is the weakest, but I enjoy the second half whatsoever. And I know the ending is pretty controversial. I know a lot of people prefer the manga's ending better than the anime's ending. Then again, I haven't really read the manga's ending, and I will be trying to talk about it in some future videos if I can, but yeah. If you haven't seen this show, I do recommend you give this show a watch, especially for its English dub. And then of course I have Neon Genesis Evangelion on Blu-ray. Yep, I've seen this a few times back in high school, a bit, but I remember that it was a fun series. I mean, it has like some awesome mechs and whatnot. I remember being depressing, and basically, yeah, it wasn't like any other mecha series that I've seen, but yeah. Of course, how can I not forget some of my anime movie 4K Blu-rays and Blu-rays here? Like I have Akira, the first that started off my anime collection. One, if not my favorite sci-fi and most important pieces of foreign film media and Japanese media, and one of my favorite sci-fi anime films of all time. Absolutely wonderful. It's just so gut-wrenching, and the motorcycle chasing, the iconic motorcycle chasing, is by far the most iconic scene of all, and heavily inspires the sci-fi and cyberpunk genre and the futuristic cyberpunk genre. Just absolutely wonderful. It's just amazing. It's just well animated, and I overall just really like the English dub for it. The voice acting, especially for the English dub, is pretty superior. There were two versions of the English dub. There was the streamlined dub, the one that was released on VHS, I think, and limited to theaters. And then, of course, there was the Pioneer dub that was re-released in theaters, and then it was later released on DVD, and then it was later released by Funimation on Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend you give this movie a watch. It's a very important piece of film, and very important piece of sci-fi in general. And then of course I have Ghost in the Shell, one of, if not my favorite sci-fi films of all time. Absolutely wonderful. It is just amazing. I remember seeing this as a kid. I remember that I had a fun time watching this, and I had a good time really watching this. I remember being mind-blowing and being a little creeped out by the cyborg making scenes. But I had a fun time watching it as a kid, with its fun animation and its awesome action. And basically, yeah. And revisiting this movie as an adult still manages to hold up well to this day, and it still is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I even remember getting to rewatch this movie again when it came in theaters, alongside with movies like Perfect Blue and later Tokyo Godfathers, and then Cowboy Bebop the movie, and then Paprika, which, yeah, still a fun film nonetheless. Absolutely wonderful. How can I not forget about the other Ghost in the Shell series? That is one of my favorite sci-fi shows and one of my favorite action shows of all time. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Ghost in the Shell standalone complex is absolutely wonderful. It's very great. I absolutely really love the series. It's absolutely pretty wonderful. It expands more upon, a lot more than it was in the movie. And it follows up with the other stories very, very well. And feels a little bit more true, mixed between the manga and the movie mixed together. And they actually did a really amazing job with that. And yeah, it's a fun series that I absolutely really love. And you haven't seen the series, I do recommend you give it a watch. Go see it. It is amazing. And I got Outlaw Star on Blu-ray. I haven't opened this yet. I bought this from Best Buy, and I haven't been able to open this yet. But I remember seeing the series a lot as a kid when it was airing on Toonami, then Adult Swim. And I remember I had a fun time watching this series. It was absolutely wonderful. I love the action. I love the story and its characters. Everything about this series is pretty good. You know, before Cowboy Bebop and before Trigun, we had this. This was absolutely wonderful. Overall, pretty awesome. Outlaw Star is amazing. It's very good overall. Yeah, the voice acting, especially for the English dub, is pretty good. Lenore Zan did the voice of one of the female characters, Aisha. Yes, I think that was the character. I think that was her character's name, Aisha. Yeah, but absolutely wonderful. It's been a while since I've seen this series. It's been a very long time, and I haven't been able to rewatch this yet, but I remember exactly about the series, though it's been a while, though, to be honest, and I have sometimes forgotten some characters' names. And I can't wait to rewatch this again when I have the time. Then, of course, I have Soul Eater on Blu-ray. I've seen this a lot when I was very young. I remember seeing it whenever it was ever on Cartoon Network, and I haven't seen this in a while. I haven't seen this since middle school, but yeah, I kind of stopped watching after this, but revisiting the series now, it still manages to hold up well to this day, and I still cannot wait to watch the new Soul Eater remake that is currently in the works right now. I cannot wait to rewatch the series again, and even watch the Soul Eater remake. The reboot is getting a quote-unquote brotherhood treatment that it is going to get, and I cannot wait for that. But yeah, it's a fun series, absolutely wonderful. I really like the voice acting, especially for the English dub. The animation is very good. It often does remind me a bit more of Tim Burton and Disney mixed together. And yeah, absolutely wonderful. And the voice acting, especially for the English dub, is pretty good. Laura Bailey does a really good job of voicing Maka, and John Sweezy does the voice of Soul, and they do a really amazing job with this series overall. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's absolutely wonderful. Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. And of course, I even have this eBay bootleg of Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Yeah, I have two versions of that, but more on that later. I saw Vampire Hunter D, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. This was able to get out on time when I ordered it, and I unwrapped it from its sealing, and I haven't been able to play the disc yet, but I've already seen Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It was absolutely wonderful. A lot better than the first. The first has some pacing issues, and it has some editing issues, but here, however, it has better pacing, better editing, and better storytelling, and it's absolutely wonderful. It is by far, if not one of my favorite horror, gothic, action, sci-fi films of all time, and fantasy movie in general. One of my favorite anime and foreign movies of all time. One of my favorite sci-fi, gothic, and horror film ever made. Absolutely wonderful. And yeah, Memories, a collection of short anime films. Absolutely wonderful. I remember watching these short anime films as a kid, and I remember I had a fun time watching these. They creeped me out a lot as a kid, but rewatching them years later, now as an adult, they still manage to hold up well to this day. And I still enjoy them whatsoever, and it's just absolutely wonderful. And yeah, my mom got this for me from Amazon, and I end up watching it again years later. Absolutely wonderful. And yeah, a really fun Blu-ray to collect in my collection. Hey, I finally get to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen. So what do I think about Jujutsu Kaisen? It's great. It's a great show. I absolutely love it. It's basically a mix between Bleach and Naruto, but with more horror and some fun action and just bloody gore and everything like that. I'm in the middle of season 1 though. I have not yet finished the first season. I have not even watched the second season yet, but I heard that it is really good. So I'm definitely going to continue watching this, but I haven't really continued watching this as of yet because of life. Yeah, pretty much life. But hey, I enjoy the series. So far so good, and it is by far now one of my favorite animes out there. And yeah, it's a fun anime that I absolutely love watching. I will finish the first season eventually, and I will talk about it in future videos. And yeah, I'm hoping to talk about it in future videos, and I will definitely eventually watch the second season. Then of course I have Fully Cooley on Blu-ray. Fully Cooley is by far, if not one of the most awesome animes I've ever seen. It's one of the best animes from Studio Gainax and Production IG. It's a wonderful anime that is about growing up. It's brilliant. It's a fun anime that is all about growing up. And if you want to watch a video essay about that, there's the video in the description down below. But yeah, it's a fun anime that I absolutely love watching. The voice acting, especially for the English dub, is pretty good. Carter Walgreen did the voice of Haruko here, and Stephanie Sheehy did the voice of one of the Psy female characters, and Barbara Goodson did the voice of the boy. I forgot his name, but yeah. But overall, it's a pretty fun series, and it's a pretty fun anime. If you haven't seen this, I do recommend you give this a watch. The less said about the new seasons of Fully Cooley, the better, because I don't really like the new seasons whatsoever. The new seasons aren't really that great. I'd give them a watch. They're not really that great. They're not as great as the original, and I'll always still watch the original and not those new seasons or new series, because those are nowhere near as good as the original, and just completely forgot about what made the original very good in the first place. I think Fully Cooley ended for how it was. It didn't really need a continuation. It didn't really need a new series, or a new season, or a revival. But yeah. Then of course I have another Studio Gainax anime, and that is Panty and Stocking. By far, if not one of the most underrated and one of the most funnest and most dirtiest and most darkest anime that I've ever seen. Well, darkest in terms of dark humor. The humor in this is pretty edgy. It's pretty much dark humor with a lot of dirty jokes and everything in that. There's a lot of edgy and a lot of dirty and dark humor into this show. And there's like there's like a lot of stuff that wouldn't be appropriate for a kid to watch. But yeah, it's overall just a really funny dark and edgy humor show. If you can handle dark, edgy, dirty humor, then I guess this is your cup of tea. But yeah, then again, this show is not for everyone. But overall, Panty and Stocking, it's a really fun series. And I already heard that Panty and Stocking has already been renewed for a second season. And the second season will be animated by none other than Studio Trigger, which that is awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to the second season. Though I wonder if they're ever going to bring back the original English dub cast. Still, it's a fun show nonetheless. And it's brilliant. And it's one of the most funnest, most edgiest animes I've ever seen. And of course, for some other anime films, I have Metropolis on Blu-ray. This is by far, if not one of my favorite foreign movies out there, and one of my favorite anime films I love watching as a kid. It's one of the best anime films I've ever seen, and this was made by Katsuhiro Otomo, the man behind Akira. This was created by the same people who worked on Akira, and this was created by Osamu Tezuka. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the name correctly. The creator of Astro Boy, which, yeah, this is a really fun anime. I remember seeing this anime a lot as a kid. I remember that it scared the shit out of me with some of the mind-boggling things, and it's one of my favorite anime films of all time. It's one of my favorite foreign movies in general, and possibly this could be my first foreign film that I've seen, but then again, who knows. But yeah, then again, I can't remember too much about that. But anyways, I remember seeing this movie very, very well. I remember being familiar with it, and when I was in the Kinokibi store, I saw the film on sale, and I managed to get it, and it was it was a fun find. And this was one of the best Sony anime film release that I've owned, alongside with Cowboy Bebop the movie, alongside with Tokyo Godfathers, alongside with films like Paprika and Steam Boy. And yeah, it's just brilliant. And if you are into films like Akira, then this movie is a must watch. Then of course I have Sword of the Stranger on Blu-ray. This is the Bandai Entertainment release, which from what I heard, it had been out of print. Though this is not a rare Bandai Entertainment release, at least according to Chris Stuckmann. But it's one of the most underrated films ever, and I had never seen it. That wasn't until when I saw somebody's review on this, and I decided to give this. I decided to go grab the movie, and I got this on eBay for $10. And I wanted to give this movie a watch, though I haven't unwrapped it from its sealing yet. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting film that I definitely cannot wait to review for my underrated film reviews. And I think I can't wait to put this for my favorite movies of all time video. But yeah, I cannot wait to do my underrated film reviews on this soon. Then of course I have some of my anime DVDs here. Like I have Trigun on DVD, by far if not one of my favorite sci-fi anime of all time, and one of my favorite sci-fi western anime out there, alongside with Cowboy Bebop, alongside with Outlaw Star. But yeah, I remember seeing this on Adult Swim, and I remember I had a fun time watching it, and revisiting the series years later now as an adult, it still manages to hold up well to this day. And fun fact, this was actually Johnny Young Bosch's first voice acting performance after leaving Power Rangers, and this was pretty much fun. Hearing Johnny's voice as Vash. Johnny does a really great job of voicing Vash, and I don't think that there could be anyone out there who could do the voice of Vash better than him. I think he's the superior voice in my opinion. Johnny did a really good job of voicing Vash. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. I love owning this DVD, and yeah, it's just kind of bad that the series hasn't been on Blu-ray, and I guess the reason why is because it wasn't popular enough in Japan to get a Blu-ray release, but instead it just got a DVD release. And yeah, but still, it's a fun series that is definitely on the watch, especially on DVD. If you haven't seen this show is a must-watch, including its follow-up, but we'll talk about the follow-up later. But anyways, yeah, it's a fun show, definitely amazing, and yeah. And how can I forget about its follow-up film, Trigun Badlands Rumble? Absolutely wonderful. One of the best follow-up films and one of the best anime films out there that I ever seen. Entertaining, it's brilliant, it's wonderful, and it's a great follow-up to the anime. And pretty much, yeah, the voice acting, especially for the English dub, is very good. Johnny Young Bosch returning to voice Vash in the film, though the other voice actors were replaced by some other voice actors, like Meryl would be replaced from Dorothy Fawn to Lucy Christian. But yeah, it's still a fun follow-up film though, and it's still entertaining at best. Oh, and here's something that I haven't shown yet. One of the most underrated sequels out there, and that being Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence. I haven't really seen the sequel. I wasn't too familiar with the sequel. That wasn't until when I saw the sequel last year online, and it's underrated. It's heavily underrated. It doesn't get any appreciation from the first film at all. I mean, this movie definitely deserves a lot better. I mean, it was passed on from distributor to distributor to produce a better English dub and a better English sub. Nowadays, instead of having some dubbing companies to produce a dub like Funimation, Viz Media, Sentai Filmworks, G-Kids, or if you want to get recent, Crunchyroll, even though that Crunchyroll and Funimation are not the same thing ever since the Funimation and Crunchyroll merge thanks to Sony. But yeah, and the Bandai release, there was a Bandai release, but unfortunately that has been out of print. I remember seeing it on eBay for about $30. But I wasn't really too sure about that. And then I got this. I got the Funimation release. Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence deserves a lot more better. I will talk about this film on my underrated film reviews pretty soon. But yeah, I cannot wait to talk about it pretty soon for my underrated film reviews. It definitely deserves more better. It definitely deserves some more praise. It deserves better than how it was treated. And the way how it was treated is just, yeah, with its mainly with some dubbing companies like with Bandai Entertainment, and then with Goldfish Pictures, which was owned by DreamWorks, to distribute foreign movies. Yeah, my bad. And this was like the first for distributing for their foreign films. But yeah, but it definitely deserves better. Of course, I have Your Name on Blu-ray. One of, if not the best films out there. I heard it's highly overrated, but hey, it's somewhat fun. But yeah, it's still fun. I will talk about it more sometime in the future, if I can anyways. But yeah, Then of course I have Suzume on Blu-ray, one if not my favorite films of last year, and one if not the best films from Makoto Shinkai, from the director of Your Name and Weather Be With You. By far, if not one of my favorite films, and one of my favorite anime films of all time, yeah. But still, it's a pretty fun anime. I haven't seen the English dub, unfortunately. I was trying to see the English dub, but because of, well, life, I was pretty busy. I couldn't watch the English dub at all. But then, I got the movie on Blu-ray. I got it from the Kanoya store. Or the Kanoya store? I'm sorry, I'm very bad at pronouncing the store's name. But I got it from the store, and now I can be able to watch the English dub, because I remember that Josh Keaton did the voice of this guy right here, the main guy from the film. And yeah, from what I heard that his performance was pretty cool. But then again, I haven't really seen the English dub for this movie. I've only saw some clips online. But yeah, now I have the movie. This time I'm going to be watching it on English dub. I've only seen the English sub. I haven't seen the English dub yet. But hey, it's still a really fun film overall. It is a fun film. Then of course, here what I have is Berserk 1997 on DVD. This is like an DVD bootleg of the Berserk 1997 series. I'll be honest, I've never actually seen this, nor have I ever heard of it. I never heard of Berserk. Well, that wasn't until when I saw someone reading the manga on an airplane during my trip to San Francisco. And I remember that I wanted to read the manga so bad. I didn't know what it was. And I didn't read the manga until around like late last year. And then I got into the 1997 series thanks to the internet. And I got the 1997 series here on DVD. And yeah, even though this is like a eBay bootleg, I still appreciate it from my parents, because this was before the official Blu-ray release that we got. But yeah, it's a pretty fun overall series. It's one of the greatest animes ever, and it's really good for what it is. It's absolutely wonderful. It's great, and it's the only thing that is closest a bit to the manga. Well, only with the Golden Age arc. The first episode started off with the Black Swordsman arc, but over the course of this series, it slowly starts to focus more on the Golden Age arc instead. But yeah, it's still a really good show though, and it's still really great. The voice acting, especially for the English dub, is pretty good, and I do recommend you give this show a watch. Go see it is amazing. Then of course I have Hellsing and Hellsing Ultimate on Blu-ray. Hellsing, I heard some okay things about it, and some not so okay things, but I recently have seen this show, and it's okay for what it is. But yeah, I mean, this is a little bit off the manga, but it's alright for what it is though. Hellsing Ultimate, however, it does a great job on sticking true to the manga, and it's true to its source material for what it was based on, and it's a fun series, better than this. But yeah, and it's an absolute wonderful series that you definitely should get if you are into the manga. And then this show is a must-watch. I do recommend that you get this show a watch. Go see it. It is amazing. But then again, the original, while it wasn't terrible by all means, there were still some problems here and there, but it's alright for what it is though. But Hellsing Ultimate is much better though. It's better, and it's true to the manga, and pretty much, yeah, absolutely wonderful. I do recommend you give this a watch. Then, of course, I have Satoshi Kon's movies here. Like I have Perfect Blue on Blu-ray and Perfect Blue on a Blu-ray Steelbook. One of, if not my favorite anime films of all time, and one of my favorite anime films in general. I absolutely really love it. It's really great. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's very scary at best. And yeah, it's one of the most scariest anime films I've just seen. And it's one of the best cinema masterpiece in film history in general. And if you haven't seen it, I do recommend you give it a watch though. To be warned, this is very disturbing. So if you're not into like disturbing thrillers, I don't recommend you watching that. but it's a really great movie overall. It's one of my favorites. Then of course I have Millennium Actress on Blu-ray. I haven't seen this yet. I haven't unwrapped this, but I heard it's really good. I heard some good things about this, but this is the only Satoshi Kon film that I am not really familiar with, but I am familiar with the rest of his other films though. But still, I haven't seen this yet, but I heard some good things, and I'm definitely going to talk about this eventually. Then of course I have Paprika, an absolute awesome film. This is basically like Inception, or should I say that Inception was basically an inspiration from Paprika, because this came out in 2006. Inception didn't come out until like 2010. But yeah, it's a pretty great film. It's mind trippy. It will get you confused a little bit, but still, it's a really great movie that I do recommend you give it a watch. Of course, how can I not forget Paprika on 4K Blu-ray, which this is like an awesome collector's item, and yeah. Then I have one if not my favorite movies from Satoshi Kon, and one of my favorite Christmas movies and my favorite anime movie of all time, Tokyo Godfathers. A brilliant, wonderful Christmas movie that I absolutely really love. It's funny in all the right ways, and it's just an absolute wonderful film that is definitely worth the watch. Great likable characters, great story, and just a fun story overall. I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and I remember I was enjoyed by this movie with its fun story and its great writing and great animation and great characters, and pretty much it, yeah. And revisiting this movie years later now as an adult, it still manages to hold up well to this day, and it's absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite Christmas movies to ever watch, and one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. If you haven't seen this movie, I do recommend you give it a watch. It's very underrated. Go see it. It is amazing, and it's a fun holiday film for the family, and it's a fun holiday film in general. And yeah, a fun Christmas movie, and one of my favorites from Satoshi Kon. And of course I have one if not the best animes of all time, and one of my favorite TV shows in general, and one of my favorite animes of all time, Paranoia Agent. It was made by the same guy, Satoshi Kon, the same guy who directed films like Perfect Blue and Millennium Actress and Paprika and Tokyo Godfathers. And here his direction in this series is absolutely wonderful. It is amazing. It is a fun anime that is definitely worth the watch, and yeah, it develops more into the side of these characters with mental health and some really dark stuff. But yeah, I've never heard of this series, nor have I ever watched it. Well, that wasn't until when MMCA Productions, this video, actually did a review on it, and I've seen many people's review on this series, and I decided to give this show a watch. And after watching this show for the first time, it's really great. And yeah, it's a fun series, and yeah, it's very disturbing, very great though. And if you haven't seen this show, I do recommend you give it a watch. Go see it. It is amazing. But to be warned though, if you're not into like any disturbing mental health issues, then I wouldn't recommend you watching this if you cannot handle it. But yeah, it's really great overall. Of course, I have the official release of Berserk 1997. Berserk 1997, this series on Blu-ray. I haven't unwrapped this yet, but I am planning to unwrap it pretty soon when I'm done with the DVD to see. Yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely going to unwrap this, mainly with some of its bonus features that it has, like the opening and ending collection, dub outtakes, painted Berserk, storyboard selection, trailer, promo, Berserk Forces music video, and yeah, just some fun bonus stuff. This was actually pretty hard for me to find at first, because number one, it had been sold out, but it did very good in physical media sales. But when it got back on Crunchyroll's store, I got it and I bought it, because most of the other stores that they were selling, like on eBay or Etsy, cost like $100 more for this. But I'm glad that I got it for a really good price. Here's some things I got from my trip to WasabiCon from last month, where I have Lupin the Third, the First on Blu-ray. An absolute wonderful film. I remember seeing this back in high school and back in COVID-19. I remember I had a fun time watching it. It was impressive CGI, and I couldn't even tell if this was anime, but it was great though. It was absolutely wonderful. Some fun voice acting, especially for its English dub, and just some fun animation. Great CGI as always, and just this is overall really fun, and I can't wait to rewatch it again, this time on Blu-ray format. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful, and you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. And then here what I have on Blu-ray is Afro Samurai. I haven't unwrapped this yet. I've never seen this show, but I heard some good things about this show. I heard that it has been pretty good. It has Sam Jackson, who did the voice of Afro Samurai, of course, and also did the voice of the side character from Afro Samurai. But overall, from what I heard, it's pretty good. And I got this on eBay for a really good price. I think for about like $19, I think. And it was like, wow, really? $19? And yeah, I haven't unwrapped this yet to watch it, but yeah. And this is like the director's cut of season 1. I heard it's a really great show, and I am definitely going to watch this because I had some people that recommended me this anime, and I'm definitely going to give it a watch at some point. What I have something being by far the most guiltiest pleasure that I heard of, and something that I heard from Chris Stuckmann, and that is none other than Bayonetta Bloody Faith, or is it Bloody Fate? I'm sorry, but yeah. I heard about this from Chris Stuckmann. The guy who sold this to me told me that this was based on a video game, and told me if I know this character from Smash Brothers because she was in Smash Brothers. But then again, I don't know too much about this character, and I'm not familiar with the games. I never played the games, and I'm not familiar with this movie, and I never seen it. But I picked it up because it was sound really decent. But then I remembered that I heard this movie from Chris Stuckmann and saying that it's the most guiltiest pleasure. But then again, yeah, I haven't unwrapped this yet, and I got this from my trip from Con, and I can't wait to open this though. But yeah, it looks very promising, and I can't wait to open this when I have the time. But yeah, then of course I have Steam Boy on DVD. I haven't unwrapped this yet, but yeah, I remember seeing this movie a lot as a kid, and I remember being obsessed with this movie with its fun visuals and its great animation. Though it's been a while since I've seen this movie, because I haven't seen this movie when I was like around 2nd grade. And yeah, but I'm definitely going to revisit this movie at some point to remember about some of the good things I really like about this movie and some of the bad things. But I heard that it's not that great. It was made by the same people who worked on Akira, but I heard that it wasn't as great as Akira. But who knows? Maybe I'll watch it, and maybe I might get my honest opinion about it. But yeah. And of course, I have one of my favorite animes of all time, and one of the shows I am proud to collect on this Blu-ray set, Kill la Kill. I bought this from Right Anime Stuff, and this was like the last thing that they've ever sold before. Yeah, I got this on my birthday, and it's an absolute wonderful masterpiece. Kill la Kill is by far, if not one of my favorite animes of all time. It's one of my favorite shows in general. I absolutely really love it, and it's overall really great. And yeah, if you never heard of this show, I do recommend you get this show watched, though the Blu-ray is going to be very expensive because it's like $100. But I managed to save up this show for my birthday thanks to all the birthday money that I saved up for. And yeah, I saved up a lot of money to get this show, and yeah, it paid off. And I like getting this for my birthday. And yeah, this was a really fun special birthday present that I got. And yeah. Of course, I have Space Patrol Lulico on Blu-ray. One of, if not the best animes that Studio Trigger has ever developed. It was made by Studio Trigger, the same people who worked on Kill la Kill, and it was for like its 5th anniversary. And this was a really awesome 5th anniversary tribute for Studio Trigger. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. I really like the voice acting, especially for the English dub. Brittany Karabowski did the voice of the main character, Lulico, and she did an amazing job on voicing Lulico, the awkward teenage girl who later becomes like this police officer, Space Patrol police officer, and is taking her dad's place as that. And along the way, she falls in love with this guy right here, Nova, played by Justin Brenner, voiced by Justin Brenner. But yeah, it's an absolute wonderful show, and it's also a really great tribute. I really liked about how they reference a lot of other Studio Trigger shows like Kill la Kill and Little Witch Academia, which Little Witch Academia I do not have as of yet, but I'm hoping to get it sometime soon. I know that the show is on DVD, and I'm hoping to get it. But yeah, in other words, Space Patrol Lulico, it's a great show, and I do recommend you give it a watch if you haven't seen it. Even though, yeah, it only lasted for about 13 episodes, and it's very short, but it's a fun show nonetheless, and it's great, and I do recommend it. Even though that it has like a low budget for an anime. It still is a good low budget. Then again, most of the other Studio Trigger projects have some low budgets, but overall the budgets have improved. Kill la Kill had a low budget, but they did an amazing job with its action scenes, given for what they got for the budget. But yeah, it's overall a great show. Of course, I have one of the best Studio Trigger films that I heard of, but I've never actually got to see. That is Paranoia. I've never seen this movie, and I had no idea that this was made by Studio Trigger, but then when I read the back that says that it was made by Studio Trigger from the creators of Kill la Kill and Little Witch Academia, and from director Haruki Imishima, or Imishi, the director of Gurren Lagann, which, yeah, I was like, wow, and this looks interesting, and I've never got a chance to see this movie or picked it up on Blu-ray. That wasn't until from my trip to WasabiCon I picked this up, and yeah, it looks very promising. I cannot wait to watch it. I heard good things about it, especially with a friend who actually recommended me to see this movie, and I can't wait to watch it and try to do an analyzed video about it sometime soon in the holy crap near future, if I can, of course, if I have the time, because my schedule for uploading videos is a little iffy. Of course, here I have is Blue Gender, one of the most underrated animes out there. This was basically like the most underrated animes that was aired on Adult Swim. I remember seeing this. I remember being creeped out by this as a kid, but I don't remember too much about it. And yeah, it's like in the back of my memory somewhere, but I can't wait to unwrap this and rewatch the series now as an adult. But yeah, almost forgot to mention that Eric Vale did the voice of this guy. If you don't know who he is, he was the voice of Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Z, and is also the voice of Sanji from One Piece. Did the voice of this guy. Laura Bailey, who played Kid Trunks, also did the voice of this character right here. I do not remember the names, because then again, it's been a while since I've seen this show. And of course, I have Terror and Renaissance. I've never heard of this show, nor have I ever seen it. Well, that wasn't until when I heard some good things about this show, thanks to some people talking about this online, and I wanted to give the show a watch, and I haven't seen it yet, but it is made by the mind of Shinichiro Watanabe. It is made by the same guy who worked on Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo and Space Dandy, and yeah, I cannot wait to watch it, unwrap this and watch it. Then of course, here what I have is the Berserk Golden Age Arc Memorial Films on Blu-ray. Well, now this is like cut to, I think I want to say that this is cut to 13 episodes now, which, yeah, but still, the Berserk Golden Age Arc Memorial Edition, this is fun to get, because I've been wanting to get the Berserk Golden Age Arc films on Blu-ray, but sadly, there were no copies available, and these were out of print. And then it was later re-released, only cut down to 13 episodes and 2 Blu-ray discs. But in other words, I'm happy that I got this on my hands now, which, yeah, and I can't wait to watch it, and hopefully that I can try watching it sometime later when I'm done rewatching the 1987 Berserk series, which, yeah. And of course, I have the most recent incarnation of Trigun that I finally got, and this is a very good surprise. I have Trigun Stampede on Blu-ray. Rewatching this series again, it was absolutely wonderful. I still love it. I really like Trigun Stampede. I thought that it was more true to the manga than the 1997 version. Not to say that the 1997 anime was bad, but here, however, it's more true to the manga, and it actually did a great job with fleshing out the characters. But because of the pacing issues with Trigun, including with its pacing issues with mainly with the villains, and at the time when the 1997 the 1997 anime was still in the works, and at the time the manga was barely finished, they had to do whatever they can with the villains and had to write with however they can develop with them. But here, however, the villains in Stampede are well written, and they did a really amazing job with how well written these characters are. I also really liked about how they made Wolfwood more true to his manga counterpart, and I also really liked about how they did a great job with developing Knives, where he's not like evil for the sake of evil. Not to say that his character in the original anime was bad, but given the pacing issues and the circumstances of making the anime, and again, the manga was barely finished at the time, they had to do whatever they can to basically fix the to basically just write down the characters, and pretty much here, however, they did an amazing job with Knives' character and how much of a really, really awesome and menacing and threatening villain that he is in Stampede, which, yeah, Knives is more true to his manga counterpart here than the 1997 version of the anime was. The 1997 version of the anime was. I'm sorry, I can't talk today, but yeah, still, I really like Stampede, and it's a fun series. And then, of course, I have something awesome here. Like, I have most of Gundam Wing on DVD, which I got this from my trip to WasabiCon. Got them for about $23, but hey, I'm really glad that I actually got Gundam Wing on my hands. I mean, I love Gundam Wing. It's one of, if not my other favorite animes to watch whenever it was airing on the Toonami block, which, yeah, Toonami, back to the good old days, like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Naruto, One Piece, Sailor Moon, and IGPX, and that was pretty much it, but still, I'm glad that I got these, so. And what most people do not know is that I have the entirety of Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray, including Dragon Ball Super on Blu-ray, and I also have some of the other Dragon Ball films as well that I have here. I have more other Dragon Ball physical media stuff that I got here, such as OVAs, the films, and TV specials I have here. Like, I have Dragon Ball Z Tree of Might and Lord Slug. Tree of Might was awesome, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah. And of course I have Cooler's Revenge and The Return of Cooler, which, yeah, I love Cooler. He's one of my favorite villains. I remember seeing Cooler's Revenge a lot. I remember I had a fun time watching it, seeing it online a couple times, and yeah. And then the Broly films, like I have Broly Legendary Super Saiyan, Broly Second Coming, and Bio Broly, which Bio Broly, it's one of, if not the worst of the Dragon Ball Z films out there, which, yeah. But overall, I'm a really big fan of the other two films, like Legendary Super Saiyan Broly and Broly Second Coming, which, yeah, they were pretty awesome. They were fun to watch. And yeah, it was a shame that Broly was never featured in canon of the series until years later with Dragon Ball Super Broly, but we'll get to that later when we get there. And then, of course, I have the two TV specials. I have Bardock, Father of Goku, and the History of Trunks. Bardock, Father of Goku, it's awesome. It's one of, if not the best, TV specials ever made, and it's absolutely pretty awesome. I overall just really liked it. And the History of Trunks, it's overall pretty cool as well, and I highly recommend you watch the History of Trunks if you're done watching with the Cell Saga, which, yeah, it's really good. But yeah, I haven't unwrapped these yet, but I have seen them, and they are pretty fun, and I can't wait to rewatch these again now as an adult. What I have is the Dragon Ball Z film, World's Strongest. Barely unwrapped, barely open, but yeah, I'm glad that I got this. And then, of course, I have Android Invincible, which, yeah, look at this, includes two versions, English uncut version and original Japanese version, subtitled in English. Yeah, I mean, you just grab these because, well, nostalgia. You got like a lot of nostalgic memories with this, which, yeah, remember getting so nostalgic for renting some Dragon Ball Z DVDs from some local rental stores, and yeah, I remember it was pretty fun. The Future Trunks DVD. Then, of course, I have the Vegeta Saga 1 of Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyan Saga, which Look what it says here. Bonus content includes 25-minute feature of interviews with Sean Schemmel, Goku, and Chris Sabat, Vegeta, which, yeah. Having this in the palm of my hands, it's really great. It's nostalgic. It's so much nostalgic, which, yeah. And of course, I have another Dragon Ball home video media, which I have the Commander Red Saga, which this is a part of the Red Ribbon Army arc. I remember renting this a lot when I was a kid, which this was my first introduction to Dragon Ball. And yeah, this was pretty awesome, and it just brings a lot of fun, nostalgic memories. Remember renting it, remember watching the Red Ribbon Army arc, which introduced me to Dragon Ball, and it was pretty awesome. There's so many nostalgic memories towards it, and I'm very happy that I got this, because there's like a nostalgia. It's childhood. Of course, we're getting into the 4 theatrical Dragon Ball films. What I have is Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, by far now one of my favorite anime films of all time, and yet one of my favorite films in general. And overall, a really great follow-up to Dragon Ball Z. And seeing this movie for the first time on DVD, and now I own it on Blu-ray, it was a wonderful treat, and it was absolutely great. And I absolutely love it. I enjoy it. It's amazing, especially with the introduction of characters like Beerus and Whis, which, yeah. And overall, just a really fun story, and a great comeback to Dragon Ball Z, and a great comeback to the franchise. Another great comeback, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. I overall really like the battle in this, especially with the Z Fighters battling the Frieza Force, which that was awesome. Overall, it's a really fun and great film. While not as good as Battle of Gods, it still is pretty much fun. I still enjoy it. I really liked about how they resurrected Frieza. I've overall really liked the fights with the Z Fighters fighting the Frieza Force, Goku and Vegeta going Super Saiyan Blue, which, yeah, that was really great. And just a wonderful treat. Absolutely wonderful, and yeah, it's a really fun film. Then I have the 2 Dragon Ball Super theatrical films. Like, for example, I have Dragon Ball Super Broly, which was a really fun treat. I unfortunately did not see this in theaters, and I didn't watch the film until like I got it on Blu-ray. But yeah, it was a pretty fun treat, especially with how they basically reintroduced Broly, and Broly is a lot more developed here than how he was in the other films. I overall really like the character of Broly, but he never appeared in the show. He never appeared in canon. Well, that wasn't until later we have Dragon Ball Super Broly. I overall really liked how they rewritten Goku and Vegeta's backstory, especially with how they written Broly's backstory. Broly has really good character here. He's by far now one of my favorite characters in anime, and one of my favorite characters in Shonen Jump, one of my favorite characters in general. Overall, I really relate to Broly here, and they did an amazing job with how they developed with Broly's character, and pretty much, yeah, the voice acting, especially for the English dub, it's pretty great, and the action is very, very intense, and you can definitely tell when you see the action scenes. The animation is peak, it's beautiful, the visuals are very beautiful, and overall, yeah. And here what I have is Dragon Ball Super Superhero on Blu-ray. I absolutely really like this film. It was absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite Dragon Ball films of all time. Yeah, one of my favorite anime films in general. One of my favorite movies in general. It's very different from other Dragon Ball films because it focuses more on Piccolo and Gohan, and giving these characters to shine again after Z. Because let's be honest, Piccolo and Gohan never really had that much of a chance to shine after Z, but seeing their characters being reestablished here in Super Superhero, and how these characters were back from the Saiyan Saga all the way up to the Cell Saga, and then they were basically wasted characters in the Buu Saga, but seeing them here being reestablished in this film, it was absolutely wonderful. It was amazing. I overall really liked it. And it was my first anime film that I have seen in theaters, which, yeah, and it was a really fun treat going into the theater, seeing this movie twice in theaters, one on English dub and the other one on English sub, which, yeah, it was a definitely fun treat. And seeing Gohan and Piccolo being reestablished as the characters that they were back in Z was pretty cool to see, and especially with the introduction of two characters, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, which, yeah, they were really amazing, and especially with some pretty great homages to the Red Ribbon Army arc and the Cell Saga, which, yeah, it's a pretty awesome film. And yeah, then of course I have Dragon Ball GT on DVD, the complete series on DVD, which, yeah, GT, it's nowhere near as good as Dragon Ball, it's nowhere near as good as Dragon Ball Z. There were some fun things about it, but I didn't really like how they ruined the characters. I didn't really like about how they ruined Goku, especially with how they ruined with some other characters, which, yeah, they ruined Vegeta as well, especially with giving Vegeta a ridiculous haircut. But yeah, especially when they killed off Piccolo permanently. But hey, it's no longer canon because Piccolo is still alive in Super, which, yeah. And of course I have some One Piece stuff. A One Piece physical media collection, which, yeah, the series is like really long, and unlike with like Dragon Ball Z, where you have like you have 9 seasons. One Piece is like a very long-running Shonen Jump anime series, but yeah, here is like my One Piece physical media collection. But here are some interesting things about my One Piece physical media collection, is that I have the 4Kids dub of One Piece because I mainly grew up with the 4Kids dub, and having this on my hand just feels like so nostalgic. You can definitely see the 4Kids logo. And then I have 2 of the other One Piece films. Like I have One Piece Stampede and One Piece from Red, which One Piece from Red is my most favorite One Piece film ever. It's one of my favorite One Piece films ever made. It's one of my favorite anime films in general. And of course, I have like a fun collection here. 2 collections. Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters on DVD, which, yeah, I'm really glad that I got the entirety of the series on DVD. I haven't unwrapped this yet, but I love watching Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot as a kid, watching it all the time on 4Kids, watching it a lot as a kid, watching it like over Saturdays when I don't have any homework or school. Man, that was nostalgic. I have a little bit of cheesiness sometimes, like for example, I have Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie on DVD, which I remember seeing it a lot when we rented it from Hollywood Video and Blockbuster, and I remember I had a fun time watching it. I never got a chance to see the movie in theaters, so I waited until the movie came out on video or DVD, but I managed to get it, and it was pretty fun. And I got the movie again years later now as an adult, and yeah, I know, it's really cheesy. I know it's not that great, it's not as good as I remember, but hey, it's cheesy and enjoyable in its own way. You're gonna have some cheesiness sometimes, but yeah, overall, yeah, it's cheesy. Then of course I have some more other Yu-Gi-Oh! Movies here. Like I have, oh, hold on. I have Yu-Gi-Oh! Bonds Beyond Time on Blu-ray, which, yeah, I was lucky to get this. I remember seeing Bonds Beyond Time, and the team up between Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei was pretty awesome. And it was absolutely pretty fun to see. And I'm really glad that I actually have this on my hands right now. And I can't wait to rewatch it again now as an adult, which, yeah, I mean, the crossover, I think it still manages to hold up to this day, but I can't wait to see. And then, of course, we have the most proper Yu-Gi-Oh! Film ever made. And yeah, it's also a great follow-up to Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Side of Dimensions. I haven't seen this yet. I heard some good things about it, but I haven't seen it yet. But it's a lot better than Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie, and it's a better Yu-Gi-Oh! Film than Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie or Pyramid of Light, which, yeah, especially since this hasn't been unwrapped yet, as you can see from the ceiling. But yeah, I'm glad that I got this, and I can't wait to watch this. And yeah, it's gonna be exciting. And how can I forget that I have Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie on Blu-ray Steelbook, which, yeah, it's a good looking Blu-ray Steelbook. I also really like the back here. The back is pretty cool. Of course, I have some really great nostalgic memories for this show. One of my favorite animes as a kid, and one of my favorite animes of all time that I love seeing back on 4Kids and Jetix. Shaman King. I have two versions of the series. I have the original uncut Japanese language with English subtitles, and of course, how can I not forget that I have the infamous English dub here on Blu-ray. Having these on the palm of my hands, it's awesome. It's awesome to get this. I got these from Christmas, and it was pretty fun to get these for Christmas, and I can't wait to unopen them and rewatch Shaman King again now as an adult, because it's actually been a while since I've seen the series. And I mainly grew up with like the 4Kids English dub. I've never actually seen the English sub yet, but I am very excited to see the English sub and the difference between the English sub and the English dub. And pretty much, yeah. But I remember seeing this show back when it was on Jetix, and I remember I had a good time watching it, and I can't wait to revisit this show again. And then I have another one of my favorite animes I've seen back on 4Kids and Jetix as well, and that is Ultimate Muscle, the Kinnikuman Legacy, which, yeah, I remember seeing Ultimate Muscle on 4Kids, then on VHS and DVD, and I remember I had a fun time watching this show, and it was a while since I've seen this show, because I haven't seen this show since I was like, wow, I can't remember, since I was a kid, when I was watching 4Kids and Jetix as well. And having this on my hand, having the entirety of the complete series on Blu-ray, it's pretty fun. And yeah, I can't wait to unwrap this and rewatch it, and I'm hoping to do like a video essay about it someday in the future, talking about more of the show's flaws, especially with its English dub, and the greatness of the show in general, and the nostalgic of the show. But this show is very nostalgic, next to shows like Sonic X, and shows like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Shaman King, and yeah, and also Tokyo Mew Mew, which, yeah, I'm glad that I got this on the palm of my hands. And yeah, and then I have the entirety of Hunter x Hunter on Blu-ray, and I can't wait to rewatch this series again now as an adult. I remember seeing it back when I think it was back around 2012, when I was visiting my uncle's house whenever Toonami was on. But yeah, this was very fun to get, and I got the entirety of the complete series on Blu-ray. And of course I have Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds on DVD, which, yeah, I got the complete first season. I do not have the second season, and even if the second season was found, it probably costs a lot more higher, which good luck finding the second season. But I was happy that I got Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, which I love Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. It's one of my other favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Series of all time, and it's just really awesome. Plus, I really like the character of Yusei. He's one of, if not my favorite characters from both anime and fiction in general, and I really like his cool, badass motorcycle. Which then I have Ranma 1/2 on Blu-ray. I do not have the entirety of the series yet. I'm trying to collect the series as hard as I could, but we'll have to wait and see. But I remember seeing this show back in high school, watching a lot of episodes online, and I remember I had a fun time watching it. It was just like this mind-boggling anime. It's a really great anime. If you haven't seen this, go watch it. It's awesome. And then I have Street Fighter Alpha on DVD, not unopened yet. Which, yeah, there's Shaman King Uncut on DVD, which got this because nostalgia, and look what it has there. That's right, the 4Kids logo. Then here what I have is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on Blu-ray. I'm trying to get into more of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and this is like the only Blu-ray that I have here. I do not have the rest of the Blu-rays as of yet, but I'm hoping to get them someday. Then I have Inuyasha Fire on Mystic Island movie 4, which yeah, and if you see, Best Buy exclusive, comes with the like these things. I don't have the entirety of Inuyasha, the series, yet on Blu-ray, but I am planning to get it someday when I have the chance. And then I have IGPX on Blu-ray. I remember seeing this back on Toonami when Naruto and Pokemon and Yu Yu Hakusho and the Big O was on, and I remember I had a fun time watching this, including watching with Gundam Wing Immortal Grand Prix. It has like a really great cast. It has a very good cast that are familiar with anime dubbing roles, like for example with Steve Bloom playing a character in this, and with casts that haven't done any anime voiceover English dub roles, like Lance Henriksen, who plays this guy, I think. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I can't wait to rewatch it though. I have Nadia and the Secret of Blue Water, which, yeah, I'm really happy that I got this. I heard some good things about it, and I heard that it was created by the same people who worked on Neon Genesis Evangelion, and who also Hayao Miyazaki. It was also written by Hayao Miyazaki. Yes, that Hayao Miyazaki, the same guy of Studio Ghibli, who made classics like Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and many more. Which, yeah, I'm really happy that I got this. I can't wait to watch this. I haven't really heard of this series. I haven't heard of it until like around mid 2023, and I wanted to give it a watch at some point, and I finally got it here on Blu-ray. Which, yeah, I can't wait to watch this, and it looks really fun. It looks interesting. And I have something very surprising here. Like, for example, I have Ninja Scroll on DVD and Blu-ray. I have this DVD copy, bootleg, that I got from Rose City Comic Con. And then I have the regular Blu-ray that was re-released by Sentai. And then the limited edition 30th anniversary Sentai Filmworks release. I'm glad that I got this film. I am planning to do a video essay about this movie, and I am going to be talking about the depth and analysis on it, so keep an eye on that. And then I have the entirety of Yu Yu Hakusho on Blu-ray. I have the entirety of the series, Yu Yu Hakusho. It's a beloved classic. It's one of, if not my favorite Shonen Jump animes of all time, one of my favorite animes of all time, and one of my favorite shows to date. Absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite characters I really like in Yu Yu Hakusho were basically Yusuke and Kuwabara, which, yeah, they are by far not one of my favorite characters to be ever written in both anime and in fiction. And yeah, it's by far not one of my favorite shows. I remember seeing it back when it was airing on Toonami and renting some of the VHS and DVDs, some of the old DVDs I have. I'll show you that later, but in the meantime, I want to show you like the complete series that I got here, which, yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. It's a classic show that was aired back on Toonami and Adult Swim, and I still enjoy it to this day, and I'm hoping that they can try to like rerun it on Toonami for their nostalgic rewind, if they could ever do so. But yeah, still, it's a really great series overall. Then I have Black Lagoon, the entirety of the series on Blu-ray. This also includes the OVA, Black Lagoon, Roberta's Blood Trail, which, yeah, I was happy to own this. My parents actually gave this to me as a late gift, which, yeah, they gave it to me as an early birthday present, and I'm very happy that I actually got the entirety of the complete series on Blu-ray. I never actually seen the series until when I ended up watching it, thanks to my parents getting this for me for a late gift and an early birthday present. Of course, here what I have is Afro Samurai, the complete series on Blu-ray, and the following up film, Afro Samurai Resurrection. I haven't seen Afro Samurai and Afro Samurai Resurrection yet, but I heard so many good things about it, and I can't wait to watch the series, and I can't wait to see it. Which, yeah, it looks pretty interesting. It looks pretty cool, especially with Resurrection, which they got Samuel L. Jackson, Mark Hamill, and Lucy Liu in this, which, yeah, I'm really surprised, but wow. And for some anime films I have here, I have A Silent Voice on Blu-ray, which, yeah, I really like this film. I've seen it twice, one in theaters, only on English sub, and then the other on YouTube on English dub, which, yeah, and seeing this movie for the first time, I heard about this movie since I think around 2016 or 2017, I think, but I didn't get a chance to see this movie until around December of 2024, and it's a really great movie. It's a great film. It's really fun. Well, I wouldn't say fun. It's pretty hard to watch because of the serious topics that this movie touches in about guilt, shame, or self-harm, etc. Just pretty much some serious topics that that if you are triggered by those, then I don't think this movie is for you. But yeah, it's not like a happy-go-lucky film. It's more of a serious film. But hey, this movie actually really spoke to me. I really liked it, and the ending, which I'm not joking, it'll leave a single tear in your eye, which, if you haven't seen this movie, I recommend you give it a watch. I recommend you give this movie a watch if you are trying to watch a movie that can speak to you. This movie's a must-watch, and pretty much, yeah. But still, though, if you cannot handle the serious topics that this film has, then I wouldn't really recommend you watch this movie then. But overall, it's a great movie, and it's one of, if not my favorite films of all time, and it's one of my favorite animated movies, and favorite anime films, and favorite foreign movies of all time. And yeah, I really like it. Pompo the Cinephile, which, yeah, I heard about this film, but I've never actually had a chance to see this. And as for me, for being an aspiring filmmaker, I decided to basically just grab this movie, and I wanted to give it a watch at some point. I heard good things about this film, and for me as an aspiring filmmaker, it's very interesting, and I can't wait to give it a watch. Hopefully that I can unwrap this and give it a watch. Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I haven't heard too many good things about it, but I heard it's not that great. But I might give it a watch just to see how bad it probably is. But yeah. Violet Evergarden, the movie on 4K Blu-ray. I haven't seen this yet, and I'm not too familiar with the Violet Evergarden series, but I might give it a watch if I ever get a chance to see the series. But yeah. And then I have Short Piece, a collection of short films. I haven't seen this yet, but I have heard about this from Chris Stuckmann's video, and I have heard of this a few times, but I can't wait to unwrap this and hopefully to give it a watch. But yeah. The first 2 seasons of Sailor Moon on Blu-ray. Then I have Demon Slayer on Blu-ray. I do not have the entirety of the series yet on Blu-ray. I'm hoping to get it on Blu-ray. But I do also have the Mugen Train arc on Blu-ray, which, yeah. Then I have Street Fighter 2, the animated movie on Blu-ray, which, yeah, it's cheesy. I remember seeing this back in high school, and I remember I enjoyed it, since I was a pretty big Street Fighter gamer back when I was like in elementary school, middle school, and later in my high school years, which, yeah. And owning this on Blu-ray was just a really fun treat, and yeah, I really liked owning this on Blu-ray. The Big O, one of, if not my favorite animes. It's a classic anime that was on Toonami and Adult Swim. Steve Bloom did the voice of this guy, Roger Smith. And yeah, it was pretty fun to have in my collection, and revisiting the series years later now as an adult. It's cheesy, but hey, it's still really fun, and it's still enjoyable to this day. It still holds up well to this day. I will be talking more about the Big O in some future videos. Then of course I have Dragon Ball Z Kai, half of Dragon Ball Z Kai on Blu-ray. I do not have the 4th season on Blu-ray because unfortunately the 4th season on Blu-ray is out of print, but the DVD is still available, and I do not have the final chapters as of yet. but I am planning to get the final chapter soon. Well, probably as soon as I can. But yeah, DBZ Kai, it was much more fun and easier version of Dragon Ball Z, and this was another one of my favorite versions of Dragon Ball Z growing up when it was airing on 4Kids and on Toonami Adult Swim when Toonami was being revived thanks to its fan base. But yeah, DBZ Kai has a lot of great stuff. Like, it has better dialogue, it has better pacing, it has less filler, and focuses a little bit better on the story and the action, and pretty much, yeah, and overall has better voice acting and dialogue. Well, half of the voice actors, however, didn't really do so well for their replacements, and I think this was mainly due to some of the original actors from the Funimation dub not returning to reprise their roles as their respective characters here in the Kai dub. Which, yeah, I mean, they had the original voice actors like Sean Schemmel, Chris Sabat, Eric Vale, for the most part, reprising their roles as their respective characters in the Kai dub. But with some of the other actors, like with the actress who played Frieza, or the original actress who played Android 18 in the Funimation dub, was replaced by some other voice actors. But yeah. And of course, I have the majority of My Hero Academia on Blu-ray, including the 6th season right here that I got on my hands. And how can I not forget, outside of the 6 seasons, we also have the 3 films. I do not have the recent film that has been released or next on Blu-ray yet, but I am planning to get it pretty soon when it comes out. And yeah, My Hero Academia I absolutely really enjoy. It is by far now one of my favorite animes and my favorite shows out there. Even though that, yes, there are problems with it, like some of the characters can be a bit annoying at times, and its fan base, which, yeah, I can definitely understand about the problems with the fan base. But it doesn't really ruin my particular tastes with this show. And overall, I still enjoy the show for what it is. And then for some surprise physical media stuff, I have some Yu Yu Hakusho Blu-ray Steelbooks that I got from the Kanoya store. And of course, almost forgot to show that I have some old Yu Yu Hakusho DVDs that I got from a garage sale. Which, yeah, I'm really surprised that I got all these, which, yeah, just nostalgia. Nostalgia in general. Then I have Spy Family on Blu-ray. I do not have the 2nd season yet, and I do not have Code White yet. Another one of my favorite Shonen Jump animes, and yeah, overall, I'm happy that I got this, and it's by far now one of my favorite animes to ever watch in general. And I can't wait to get the 2nd season and the film Code White on Blu-ray. And I got this, Evangelion Thrice Upon a Time, which, yeah. Bought this as Best Buy's last physical media sales before Best Buy was permanently removing their physical media sales, which, yeah, I was kind of sad to see that Best Buy was removing their physical media sales. And, yeah. And then I have most of Naruto on Blu-ray. I mean, I'm a huge Naruto fan, but, well, here's the thing, is that I'm really left behind on collecting Naruto on Blu-ray, and I'm hoping to try to collect more other Naruto Blu-rays pretty soon. And then I have the entirety of Attack on Titan on Blu-ray. Attack on Titan, it's another one of my favorite animes of all time, and it's one of my favorite animes out there. And the final chapters, they will definitely make you cry. And I can't wait to rewatch the series again on Blu-ray, which, yeah, since I got the entirety of the series on Blu-ray. Specifically for Studio Ghibli films, I have My Neighbor Totoro on Blu-ray. It's a classic, it's a beloved classic, and it's another one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films, and it's just a childhood film that is definitely worth the watch. Ponyo, another one of my favorite childhood Studio Ghibli films, and definitely my most memorable Studio Ghibli film that I loved watching as a kid. And yeah, it's definitely enjoyable, and overall I can't wait to unwrap this and rewatch this. Delivery Service, one of if not my favorite Studio Ghibli films, and one of the most memorable Studio Ghibli films, and yet the first Studio Ghibli film that I've ever watched as a kid. And I remember that the black cat that I kind of molded in clay back in 2nd grade was based off the cat Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. But yeah, still though, it's one of if not my favorite Studio Ghibli films, and one of my most favorite Studio Ghibli films out there. And yeah, this movie has a special place in my heart. Porco Rosso, another one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films, and it's definitely fun. It's another one of Hayao Miyazaki's greatest works. Spirited Away, another one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films out there, and one of my other favorite Studio Ghibli films in general. And it's a beloved classic. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind on Blu-ray, one of if not my other favorite Studio Ghibli films, and another childhood Studio Ghibli film that I love watching, which yeah, it's one of my favorite other Studio Ghibli films. I absolutely liked it. I liked the animation, I liked the performances, and this was the beginning of Studio Ghibli, before My Neighbor Totoro, before any of the other classics I've mentioned. This was Studio Ghibli's first start. Princess Mononoke, another classic, one of my favorite childhood classics, and another one of my favorite Studio Ghibli films out there. Visually appealing as always from Studio Ghibli, and great acting, great performances, great animation, and pretty much yeah. Castle in the Sky. Howl's Moving Castle, one of my other favorite Studio Ghibli films. The Wind Rises, my most favorite Studio Ghibli film, and my favorite Studio Ghibli film, and my favorite animated film, and yeah, one of my favorite movies in general, which yeah, it's a beloved classic, and this was Hayao Miyazaki's last and greatest films that he's ever done. And then there was The Boy and the Heron, but I do not have The Boy and the Heron on Blu-ray yet, so From Up on Poppy Hill. Yeah, I haven't seen this yet, but I heard some good things about it, and there are some other Studio Ghibli films that I have seen and some that I haven't seen yet, but I am trying to collect some more other Studio Ghibli films that I haven't seen yet. There are some other Studio Ghibli films that I haven't seen yet in this category too, so yeah. Only Yesterday. I haven't seen this, but I have heard about this film. I heard how good it is, and I heard that this was Studio Ghibli's film that was released without any studio that they were partnering up with, like with Disney, for example. And I heard Disney did not like this movie because of how they were talking about some of the other things that Disney would consider to be appropriate. But yeah, I can't wait to watch this, and yeah. The Tales of Princess Kaguya, one of my other favorite Studio Ghibli films. One of my other favorite Studio Ghibli films, and yet one of my other favorite animated films out there. Brilliant animation, brilliant writing, brilliant voice acting, especially for its English dub. And yeah, I saw this film with a friend of mine in theaters, and I remember that this movie was very sad. It was very emotional, but it was really good though, and brilliantly animated. Whispers of the Heart, one of my other favorite Studio Ghibli films that I wasn't too familiar with, but yeah, it's really good. It's one of the most underrated Studio Ghibli films out there, and it's my favorite. The Cat Returns, the supposed sequel to Whispers of the Heart. Not as good as Whispers of the Heart, but it's still really good. Even though it's not as great as Whispers of the Heart, it's still enjoyable. I still enjoy it for what it was. And yeah, and this was the Studio Ghibli film that was another childhood Studio Ghibli film that I grew up with when I was watching it in my mom's friend's house. And I remember I enjoyed it for the most part. I remember enjoying it. And yeah, and I really like the performances with Kristen Bell, Peter Boyle, Anne Hathaway, and pretty much, yeah, the performances here are really good. Then this is the last Studio Ghibli film that I've collected so far, which is When Marnie Was There, which it's a very relatable film about a girl by the name of, I don't really remember her name, but I remember that this girl right over here basically has some anxiety problems and has problems with making friends and all that, etc. But yeah, it's a relatable film. It's very fun, it's very enjoyable, it's very emotional, and it's overall really good. That's all the Studio Ghibli films I have collected, which, yeah, I am planning to get more pretty soon, and I am hoping to do another anime Blu-ray collection video when I have the chance, but yeah. And of course, how can I forget about my anime VHS collection, which here I have a Speed Racer on VHS, which I found this from my dad's box of old VHS tapes where he had Looney Tunes, he had some other things, and I found this in my dad's VHS box set, and yeah, and I watched it with my dad, and me and my dad liked Speed Racer ever since. Then I have Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, again on VHS, and look what I got here on this. This is the Hollywood Video sign, which, yeah, Hollywood Video, back when we used to rent some stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, or we used to rent Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, etc. Which, yeah, I miss those days. I miss those days of Hollywood Video and Blockbuster. I miss those days of rental stores before streaming was ever a thing, which, yeah. Then I have Queen Emilra's on VHS. This is brand new and hasn't been unopened yet. I heard some things about this, but I wasn't too familiar, and I bought this as a blind buy, but I can't wait to see what it is, and yeah, I'm happy that I got this on my collection. And I have some Dragon Ball VHS's, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT, which, yeah, I really liked owning these, and I loved renting these a lot when I was a kid, and having these on my hands just feels so much nostalgia. And I also have this. I have the Dragon Ball Z films on VHS, which it's pretty awesome. And I think that's it for my anime physical media collection. So, that is all for my anime physical media collection. And people are probably wondering, when is the new upcoming videos I have in mind coming out? Of course, they're still gonna come up. That's not an issue right now. But yeah, they will come up eventually as soon as I can get done with them with writing scripts and editing, etc. And I wanted to say thank you for 10 years on YouTube, and it has been a pretty fun journey, and I can't wait to see what the future holds in stock. But yeah, in the meantime, there will be some more upcoming videos that I do have in mind planned, and I'm hoping to post them sometime around later next month or later in the future of this year. But that's all for today's video. If you guys like the anime physical media collection I have, please like, share, and comment, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.